look at the vehicles, it says to protect and serve. We use that as our mantra. We want our vehicles that we're coming out with to protect and serve the officers.
Meet the new Ford Interceptor and Utility Police cars, coming to a police department near you at the end of 2011.
We've been the dominant leader in the police industry for years, capturing over 70% market share. And Crown Victoria was the right vehicle at its time for the product. But it's time to transition to a new generation of police vehicles.
What's your first impression? What's your immediate kind?
I like them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You might recognize them as the Ford Taurus and, of course, the all-new Ford Explorer.
We're offering features such as ballistic door panels, optional ballistic door panels in our vehicle, something that's exclusive to Ford. Many times they're using their doors as shields in the case of gunfire. They can do that and know that they have protection regarding level 3. Other features in terms of safety. Safety is keeping your hands on the wheels, eyes on the road. Working with our advisory board, one of the things that we took a look at is migrating the electronics. There's a lot of electronics in the vehicle. When officers are turning on their sirens or their lights, many times they're turning over, looking at the computer or the dials here. I can take you a look.
Yeah, let's look at it. Show me. You can sit down in the car and show me what.
And these, what I'm going over are unique features for our vehicles here, but you can see. So here's an interior cockpit. This is typical of what would be an officer. You have your computer here, you have your buttons, you have your controls all down here. Again, very common.
A lot of buttons.
A lot of buttons, very good. And generally these are touch screens. So your controls, if this was on, you would see touch screen for do things. So if you're in, all of a sudden you see an incident happening, you have to go on a chase, the first thing you're going to want to do is turn on your sirens, turn on your lights. First thing you do is go over, hit the buttons. As you can see, we have mappable buttons up here for what's called our My Ford Touch controls that are used for audio, temperature control. So one of the things we looked at is, could we design these to be adaptable for the industry? So we are making this available so the police industry can map their sirens, their lights directly to the buttons. As you can see, red lights, blue lights, it has the controls here, so they can keep their hands on the wheels and operate lighting and siren. That's a good safety feature because they're not distracted.
And before you were telling me that the seat is specially designed for police officers. Obviously they're wearing body armor and they're wearing guns and there's a big belt around their waist.
Well, and I go back to say, we call this their office. They are in this 8-10 hours a day driving around, and it's important that they're comfortable and they don't become fatigued. They wear a lot of equipment, the guns, as you say, their holsters, their handcuffs and such. So what we did was, when we were bringing our advisory board members in to meet with the engineers, one session, for an example, we had the seat engineers in, and we told our advisory board members, come in full gear. We'd have them sit in the seat. The seat engineers would sit there and take a look at what was hitting the seat, what was constricting the elements there. And so they would take the seat out and have special foam saws. They would start trimming the foam, putting it back and getting them in there for maximum comfort, but also, they've also designed the seats for police, for their application, high-speed pursuits, high-speed cornering, to give them good bolster support as they're operating that way. A good example is the seat belt. Little things like that. When you have your gun on, it could encroach on the seatbelt. We've extended the seatbelt opening, number one, so it's easier for that. But quickness of getting out, quickness of unlatching it to get out of their vehicle, which is important to them.
Show me the back end of this car. You said this is also a little different than the old Crown Vic.
Well, what we've done is, many people, you take a look at this here, and we have designed, the idea was to have maximum package on this. And the package of the sedan, I'll start with the sedan and the utility, both exceed the dimensions of the Crown Victoria in terms of legroom. What we did on these was we sat there and recognizing that the vehicles are going to have what we call partitions put into them. Now, we wanted to make sure there was room. Now, many times you would sit there and say, well, who cares about comfort for the second row occupants? Right. It's not the comfort factor. The element is, it's a safety factor for the officers. When they have an individual handcuffed who may be very aggressive in fighting the officer from putting them in, that's a safety element. How easy can they get the individual into the back seat and out of the back seat? So we specifically went to larger door openings, wider door openings, so it's easy to get them in, and we moved the seat back specifically for police by 4 inches, so the ease of ingress and ingress and egress for the purpose for the officers.
All right, so let's talk about the power plants.
Okay.
This is the base, you said, the 3.5. Tell me about this power plant and tell me about the specifications in the car.
Okay, what we have is, what's nice is where they had a single Crown Victoria offering before, today we're giving them the choice. We started off before the sedan and the utility, so let's call that choice number 1.
Right.
Choice number 2 would be front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Third choice could come down to power plants. The power plants for the base unit is 3.5 liter TI VCT, twin independent variable cam timing, that will deliver in excess of 270 horsepower. Now by comparison, the Crown Victoria V8 is only 250. So it's extremely powerful, but most importantly, it's fuel efficient. And in today's environment, when agencies are under budget constraints, any way that we can save them money without compromising on performance is important to us. So the base 3.5 liter V6 has done extremely well in police testing and certainly delivers increased performance versus the Crown Victoria V8.
Now the one that people are being curious about is the EcoBoost,
It's
right?
the EcoBoost, exactly right. It's a
turbo.
3.5 liter EcoBoost, or direct injected GTDI, gas turbo direct injection power plant. Now that power plant is going to deliver in excess of 365 horsepower, and that has just set records at all police tests out there. That is a high pursuit, powerful performing engine that is available for applications where they need that. And that's what's nice about having the choice, is the agencies aren't restricted to only one. They can now select what best meets the needs of their agency.
So talking about the EcoBoost engine, I think the numbers are something like 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds.
Well,
that right?
yeah, that's correct. At the recent Los Angeles Sheriff's Department police testing that they ran, it delivered best-in-class performance. It delivered 5.8 seconds, 0 to 60, and that beat all of the V8 competitors that were in the class with it.
Now, if you're not, a police officer, and look at these two cars, this is basically with the bigger engine, the Ford Taurus SHO, and this is a new Explorer. But they're different, you say. You say they're very different from what the...
They are very, very different. These are purpose-built vehicles for the police industry. Yes, do they use the basic foundation of the D3? But we have other products that are on this D platform also. But these here, the interior is completely redesigned to maximum for the police. We talked about the electronics. The police, we talked about the engine, both the naturally aspirated and the GTDI. The police operate in much different conditions, so you needed to have increased cooling for both the transmission and the radiator. So we have put these through police durability cycling, power takeoff units. So these are vastly different than anything that would be available as a retail offering.
All right, and last question. Obviously, GM's coming out with a new car as well.
Right.
It's built on the Holden platform, which is GM's manufacturing partnership or ownership in Australia.
Right.
What makes this better than the GM version? Why is the Interceptor better than the Holden source GM?
Well, I can go into specifics. For an example, one of the key features that we didn't talk about on the vehicle on the interior is the fact that we're migrated to what the office agencies want, which is a column shift. If you have the shift on the floor where all of your equipment, you have some constrictions. So this vehicle, as we said, has truly been designed for the police agencies there. So there's various product attributes that are better. Number one, I would say, it's the belief that rear-wheel drive is better than all-wheel drive, or rear-wheel drive is the best in the industry. The testing that was done both at Michigan State Police and by the LA County Sheriffs would demonstrate that all-wheel drive is far superior to rear-wheel drive. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's the fact that the competitors' engines, performance engines are V8. Again, it's this fallacy that you need to have V8 engines in order to do high-speed pursuit business. That's not the case. These 3.5 liter, the base V6, the GTDI EcoBoost, the 3.7 liter in the utility vehicle beat the competition in many of the tests out there. And what do you get with that? In budget constraints, one of the highest costs for an agency out there is fuel. These vehicles are running 24 hours a day. These are offering V8 performance that is exceeding that of the competition with fuel economy that is over 20% better than the Crown Victoria V8. And for an agency to be able to save 20% on their fuel costs annually, that's a tremendous benefit. And that's something that we're offering, especially in our performance powertrains, that the competition isn't.
No, the Crown Victoria's owned the majority of the market, so it's been the dominant car. You said, I think, 70% up to about 70%.
Yeah, right.
When will people start to see these out on the roads? In other words, when do you got to start looking out for the new sedan and the new utility in the rearview mirror?
We're continuing to build Crown Victoria. Agencies are continuing to buy Crown Victoria. Again, it comes back to this. This is the dominant player, and they love this vehicle. We'll begin producing these vehicles, and so that will continue on through the 2011 model year. We'll begin producing these vehicles in the fourth quarter of 2011. So shortly when the Crown Victoria starts phasing out, these vehicles will start production.
So basically 2012, start looking for these in your rearview mirror. Thanks.
Crown Vic's been around a long time, but it's been a workhorse, you know. It's been around. It's been around a long time because of that. It's proven itself there, and that's one of the things that the new vehicles are going to have to do is prove themselves, and time will only tell.
You know, I couldn't have said it better myself. Roman Micah reporting for TFLcar.com.